In the last video, I had discussed my most underrated skincare ingredients, so I thought it was natural to then film a video discussing the ingredients that I find to be the most overrated. And just to preface this, because I know overrated is a touchy subject because different ingredients work differently for different people. So please do consider this more as an opening and discussion. I don't hate these skincare ingredients. If they're in products, I'll happily use them. They're just ingredients that I don't personally seek out, and there may be ingredients that I do see featured a lot on labels that I've just never personally noticed much skincare benefit out of them. So yeah, I would happily use pretty much everything on this list. They're just the kind of thing that I wouldn't consider to be an appealing call out. Now, one of my main skincare concerns is related to inflammation, redness, rosacea, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of these ingredients you'll see are focused on skin soothing, but where I haven't found them to be that particularly effective. And I'll start with maybe a controversial one, which is cica or centella extracts. I've just used countless cica centella products, and I've never found a single serum that has ever stayed in my rotation long term. I've only ever seen sort of hydration out of it, just really nothing that has done anything to calm down the actual visible redness in my skin. Now, one thing to note is that with plant extracts especially, they can be susceptible to a lot of variation and a lot of different qualities. So it could be that I just haven't come across the right serum yet. And if you have one that you love, that you swear will work, then do let me know in the comments, because I'm for sure interested in trying. By extension, and sort of a similar concept, would be mugwort. I feel like I've used so many toners and things with mugwort in them that are supposed to be skin calming and healing and all that stuff. But mugwort I've never seen a single difference in my skin using it. I feel like some websites even claim it can help with acne and breakouts, and I just find that to be just flat out no. So another ingredient that has not been useful to me at all. Continuing on this trend with soothing ingredients is panthenol. This is an ingredient that I've even tried to seek out fairly high strength versions just to see if maybe the fact that it hasn't worked out that well for me is more related to strength. But I also just never see any skin calming, or I never feel like my skin feels different when I'm integrating panthenol. Now, I feel like panthenol has a little bit more of a well-known, well-regarded reputation. So unlike plant extracts, this is maybe a little bit more reliable. So definitely I'm happy to always see panthenol included in ingredients. Maybe it's having some benefit that I'm just not visibly picking up on. But I guess maybe I had unreasonable expectations, and I hope that I would see something a little bit more clearly. Now, moving on from soothing ingredients to more general antioxidants, and that's vitamin C. I actually talk about vitamin C fairly frequently, and I often have one or two in rotation. I really enjoy the Naturium vitamin C complex, and I think the poems from the lab ascorbic acid serum is amazing. But the reason I'm including on this list is I've just never really seen any benefit using vitamin C in terms of evening skin tone or tone correction. So I integrate vitamin C more so from the perspective of it being a sunscreen booster and an antioxidant, not because I actually visibly see improvement in the luminosity of my skin. So yeah, I don't dislike vitamin C, it's just not one of my holy grail ingredients. Next up is the humectant, probably one of the most beloved, and that's glycerin. A lot of people already complain about hyaluronic acid, and some people even actively avoid it. Glycerin is definitely not an ingredient that I hate. I'm very happy to see it in products as often as possible. I think it's just become this sort of major call-out ingredient where a lot of brands are using it in super high strengths. And to be honest, that was interesting to me at the start because I'd never really seen glycerin celebrated that much. But having used a lot of these products over time, I've just never really noticed any actual extra hydration or any impact on how my skin feels by using glycerin when it's in a really high concentration. So yeah, I just don't feel like it really helps more with dehydration. Often these higher strength serums end up feeling more tacky, and some of them go the other way and they oddly feel quite dry. So I think I've just decided that when I'm aiming for humectants, I do prefer more of a blended serum, where maybe there's a little bit more of a feature of different types, especially if there are sugar humectants involved in combination. Snail mucin is another ingredient that I just don't understand at all. That texture is unacceptable. I hate the stringy nature. I find it really slow absorbing, and it's just a super strange feeling. I also think some of the claims surrounding its exfoliating potential are probably way overblown. So this is one that I know some people swear by, that it just works better for them than anything else. I've really only explored the CosRx range, so maybe another snail mucin product would work better. But I just hate the texture so much that I'm not even willing to explore. You know, part of this also segued into, I saw some content on how the snails are treated to get the extract out, which I didn't love. And it's just the type of thing that I think is so pointless that we don't need to traumatize snails for that. But each to their own. I'm not saying that with any judgment, just that I never noticed that benefit to where it would be a necessary skincare ingredient. Glow Recipe does have their new, I think, cactus-related mucin serum that actually has ectoin in it. So I might try that to see if I can get over the stringy texture in a more vegan format. Now, the next thing I want to discuss in terms of what is overrated is the fragrance-free fear-mongering. I totally believe that everyone is entitled to their own choices, and if you have a preference towards fragrance-free, then carry on with that. I love that we have options available. For me, I'm talking about it more so like from this automatic assumption that gets passed on that fragrance is damaging. And that is a super strange conversation to me because fragrance is such a big category. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of fragrant molecules. You cannot say fragrance and apply the same concept of thought to that entire category or the entire industry. It's nearly impossible to say that any one person would be allergic or sensitive to fragrance across the board. Like some fragrances that are in skincare products are designed with much more thought and testing than most finished skincare products. And there are other ingredients in products, you know, whether it's an emulsifier or preservative that has maybe more irritation potential than fragrance. But I guess because fragrance is considered like a flippant inclusion, that it's an easy thing to pick on. But I'm of the opinion that if somebody enjoys the fragrance of a product, they're more likely to use it, they're more likely to be loyal. It develops just a habit of consistency with using a product. So I consider it to be a very functional ingredient. Avoiding fragrance is something to be mindful of if you've historically experienced sensitivity to it. But I promise you, some brands are developing fragrances with so much care and attention that they've tested it on the most sensitive and sensitized skin that they can find to ensure that the product will still be fine. So I'm mainly mentioning it here because I just don't think it's useful to ever avoid any one product as a blanket rule. Unfortunately, it's a case of like fragrance is just another ingredient or series of ingredients, and it should be treated with the same kind of selection criteria as all other things, where unless you're directly sensitive to something, you don't need to fear it. Now, another ingredient that I'm not sure is that relevant to talk about anymore because it doesn't appear that much, but I'll mention anyway, is CBD. It used to appear in products way more a few years ago, and I think that's died off entirely, so I guess it probably means there really wasn't much to it. Funnily enough, one of my favorite skincare serums is Dew Deliverance, which does use CBD extracts, but I like Deliverance for its overall formula, not because of the CBD, and I actually wish that they would reformulate a version without the CBD, because I would love Deliverance's texture and the rest of the serum, maybe with another skin soothing complex in there that they could ship internationally. I've only used like one or two other CBD products, and again, a situation like with the skin soothing extracts that I mentioned earlier, I just never saw any benefit topically. And I'll finish off with maybe another slightly controversial one, and that is ceramides. Just low-key, I've never found them to add anything useful to a moisturizer. It doesn't seem to make a difference to me whatsoever if ceramides are included or not. For me, at least, my skin reacts way better to skin protectant focus, so I mentioned in my underrated ingredients like dimethicone and petrolatum, and seeing sugar alcohols, and those things are much more relevant. I've never noticed a ceramide mixture actually improving my skin barrier. Now, having said that, I could be judging ceramides a little bit too harshly because my issue with my skin is more to do with dehydration. Whereas if you have chronic dryness, you might be a candidate that would find ceramides more useful. So I guess I'm mentioning it here not because I hate seeing this ingredient. I've personally not seen benefit from integrating it. That doesn't mean the ingredient is bad, just that I think there's an assumption or presumption that ceramides are automatically making moisturizers better, and I just don't agree with that at all. That's all the overrated ingredients that I can think of for today. If I've missed something super obvious, please do let me know. There are actually many ingredients that I know widely people consider to be overrated, so like niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, azelaic acid even, but I actually quite enjoy these ingredients, and they form a lot of the core and structure of the balance of my skin. So again, everybody is different, and I hope you took this video quite lightheartedly. And as I said at the start, this is not a list of ingredients that I avoid. I happily use all of these ingredients. They just don't attract me as far as label claim goes. So if they're already in a product, great. I'm keen to find something that will prove me wrong. But yeah, so as I said, they're just things that I don't really specifically seek out anymore. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have your own list of overrated skincare ingredients. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.